Olympic lifting is incredible. The snatch, clean and jerk are some of the best lifts that possibly exist for developing power, for challenging your mobility, and training to get good at these lifts really does generally put your training in a very good direction. But they do have a very high skill requirement to really get into and get much benefit out of, and they do have quite a high mobility demand. So if you're someone who's short on time or just really can't be bothered and you want to get more powerful, you might look at the clean, the snatch or the jerk and think, yeah, I kind of want to do it, but I just can't be fucked. Well, lucky for you, there is a lot of other things you can do. And today I wanted to chat through 3 of those, because whilst I love Olympic lifting, I mean, I spent a year like obsessing over it when I dropped out of uni the first time. I did like nothing but Olympic lifting 6-7 days a week, and it's still quite a big part of my training now because I want to get more powerful. There are a lot of other ways to do it, so let's have a think about them. Firstly, high effort jump training. This is an incredible way to train for power. Number one, it's obviously just very natural. Everyone kind of instinctively understands how to jump, unless you've done like literally nothing in years. But even then, it doesn't take that long to learn. You can see it's kind of a swing, a jump, and we all instinctively understand rhythm. So it's something that we can all get into. And what's really nice about it is when we think about high effort jumping, that is relative to you. So high effort for me may be doing some like big hurdle hops with some broad jumps before and at the end. But high effort for my mum might just be jumping onto a like low little platform. But that's still going to be super beneficial because that's still going to challenge her to do full power to get up there. So it's super scalable. You know, you can remove impact by doing things like box jumps, banded jumps, making things a lot easier, or you can increase impact by holding weight. You can do bigger jumps over things. So it's just this super scalable thing. It works at all levels. It's very instinctual and it is incredible for developing power. So high effort jump training, number one. Secondly, we can think about sprinting. Now this, of course, is another really natural human movement, and it is incredible for developing maximal power output and all the adaptations your body needs to be really powerful. I would say it's slightly harder to access than maybe jumping, because whilst it is a natural movement, the technique for really good sprinting is a little bit less instinctive, I would say. And I think more people haven't ever really done a lot of good sprinting than have jumped in their life. Do you know what I mean? A lot of kids have done jumps and stuff. A lot of younger people will jump around, but they don't necessarily just like actually work on acceleration, sprint mechanics, blah, 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 blah. But it's an incredible way to develop power and all the adaptations, as I said. And what I would say with this thing is you can just kind of sprinkle in sprinting as and when you need. If you're someone who's not really done any sprinting, then you don't need to go full beans. You don't even really need to be doing much more than some basic sprint drills. You could do some switches, you could do some A skips, some B skips. All of that is going to teach you acceleration, some mechanics, and just get you practicing like actually moving quickly and putting high effort into things. And over time, then you can build that up into actual sprinting or accelerations and some plyometrics, so you prep your body well for it. Or if you are more advanced, you can just jump into actually including accelerations or maybe even some like 100, 200 meter sprints in your plan. But when we're thinking about power development, we're not actually thinking about top speed. We're thinking about getting really powerful, so rate of force development. So the acceleration of your sprint is where the real magic is going to happen for that. And then obviously the top end of speed is where you're going to get benefits for speed and speed endurance. So you're doing 100, 200 or even 400 meter sprints. But if we're just thinking power, you can just think about doing a lot of acceleration, some different sprint drills, some resisted sprints, some sled sprints, especially if you're an intermediate. Sled sprints and resisted sprints are amazing because it just puts you in a bit of a better acceleration position and you've still got to work really hard. So sprints are incredible and you should give them a go, whatever that looks like. And finally, I'm going to recommend just some high effort dynamic core training over a pretty large range of motion, because when you think about powerful movements, when we think about throwing, flips, kicking, punching, even sprinting to some degree, there's a huge amount of rotation through the core, or maybe there's some bending. Or if we think about big collisions, there's a lot of rigidity. So every powerful thing we do is going to be transmitted through our core, which means we need to train our core to be able to do it. And actually, the better our core gets at twisting over a large range really quickly, the better it gets at taking hard impacts by, you know, tightening up and, I mean, cleans are actually really good for that. Annoyingly, cleans and snatches are always like the perfect thing for that. But of course, there's other ways to do it. And you can also think about doing things like surge cleans, but that's by the by. Rigidity isn't the only function of the core. As I say, we've got bending, we've got this, we've got twisting, and there's so many ways to train it. You want to train it dynamically, you want to train it fast. We can obviously also load it heavy and go over really big ranges. But I'm just kind of saying a lot of things about the core right now. But the thing I want you to take away from that is like the core is the key at transmitting the force from the lower body to the upper body or vice versa when you're doing powerful movements. So if your core isn't capable of actually taking those forces and transmitting it, you're never going to produce that output. So training these ranges dynamically, quickly, all those sort of things is super valuable. So we can think about doing some sort of throws, some med ball slams. We can think about just doing body weight twists where you're literally just slamming it really fast with your body weight. We can think about doing things like kipping toes to bar, GHD halos. There is so much, and even more simple things just like cable side bends or barbell side bends are absolutely brilliant. So there's a range of things you can be doing. Oh, 45-degree side bends, those are great as well. Sorry, I'm just yapping. Train your core, basically. So I hope that's helpful, guys. A bit of a quicker video than normal today, but I was just thinking, do you know what? I love Olympic lifting, and so do a lot of my clients, but also a lot of my clients don't love it, but they still want to get more powerful. And what are the other ways that we actually do that? These are the 3 I tend to go to. And hopefully if you want to develop more power and you can't really be bothered to learn Olympic lifting, you can steal these 3 and get them into your plan. And of course, if you're not sure how to do that though, you can always come and work with a different breed coaching team. We will leave the link in the description below to check that out, and you can come work with our incredible team who work with everyone from 25-year-olds to 60-year-olds and with people in over 30 countries around the world, getting insane results, helping people become powerful, just normal, everyday people from all walks of life. So yeah, whoever you are, we're going to be able to help you. And I'll also say, give us a little subscribe if you don't mind, because that always really helps the channel, and obviously you will see when the next video from us comes out. So thank you for watching, guys. I'll catch you in the next one. See you later. I'm not going to make that a thing. That was terrible, right? God.